Hey, we're going to talk about self-gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is called crazy making, so I guess self-gaslighting is making yourself crazy. Let's talk about what it is with examples to make it real and the 4 signs that you can look for that suggest that you are gaslighting yourself. Yeah, I'm Dr. Don Russell. I'm the founder of Russell Healing Institute, where we help women flourish in extremely difficult marriages if they want to stay. Of course, if you want to leave, then leave. But if you have, for example, a faith conviction that your relationship with God and that faithfulness in marriage is an important part of that, and so you want to find a way to make it work, then we understand and we help women in those kinds of situations. Click the link below to find out more. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to this channel so that you're one of the first to get new, important, healing content in this area. Now, I want to remind you that I'm a therapist. I've been practicing for nearly 30 years, but I'm not your therapist. And so I ask you to take full responsibility for yourself and use this as information, not as therapy or professional help. So let's briefly review gaslighting itself. This is someone who is trying to get you to believe something that your own senses leads you to believe is not true. So, for example, you're told by your husband that he was, just out with some friends for a couple of hours, but you're picking up the scent on his clothes that he suggests he was out at the bar smoking or drinking or dancing with a woman that wears a perfume that is like not your scent, right? So his story that he's giving you is contradicted by the evidence that you're getting through your own senses. In this example, the sense of smell. So what do? Do you trust his words or do you trust your own senses? Another example, he said he would be home by 6 to get ready to go out for dinner where you have a reservation, and when he comes home at 6:30, he tells you he never said that he would be home by 6, and he is trying to get you to believe that you were supposed to make the reservation. Again, his words contradict what you heard with your own ears. Now, of course, we need to be careful here. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gets delayed by traffic sometimes or held up at the office or whatever. And everyone forgets or mishears sometimes. What really matters, what's really relevant here, is if you're seeing a pattern of this kind of conflict between what you're being told you should believe by the other person, your husband, and what your own senses are telling you. Okay, so that's gaslighting. Hopefully that's clear, because we're going to go deeper. Self-gaslighting is when you start doing that to yourself. So trying to make yourself believe something that you know intuitively, or you have other evidence through your own senses that it is not true. Okay, so for example, where your husband tells you he was out with the boys, okay, no big deal. Self-gaslighting is when you begin to dismiss to yourself the evidence, when you start to tell yourself, right, kind of the self-talk, the monkey mind or whatever gets on the bandwagon. You start to tell yourself, well, maybe it was all innocent. Maybe he was with some friends at a restaurant and the server at the coffee shop wear too much perfume and it just transferred through the air. And the last time you caught him flirting, he said he was sorry. So I should really, hear that? I should really trust him again, that he's not doing it again. This is you being a gaslighter to yourself. So you're both the victim of gaslighting and you are the perpetrator of gaslighting. In the second example, the second guessing yourself, it's self-gaslighting. Maybe I didn't hear right. Maybe I didn't remember right. Maybe I was supposed to make the reservation. Now that I think about it, maybe my memory is starting to go. So here are some indicators that you are falling into the trap of self-gaslighting. So one is being too quick to assume that you made a mistake, or it's your misinterpretation and you need to be the one apologizing. Now, again, I want to be clear. It is a sign of maturity to admit if you're wrong, when you're wrong, but it's unhealthy to take ownership of things that you did not do. In that video up there, we're going to talk about, or we do talk about why we do that. So when you find yourself ruminating over the incident after the fact, like hours later or days later, that ruminating, that indicates that some part of you, some part of your heart and soul is still attempting to alert you to that contradiction, still trying to make sense of that contradiction. It's actually protesting the dissonance, is what we call it, the gaslighting. So that ruminating, did I say I was going to make the reservation? That's a sign that you're doing it. General anxiety and general resentment towards the other person that is slowly growing inside you, that's another sign that you're falling into the trap of self-gaslighting. And that general resentment towards your husband might start to show up as passive aggressiveness, right? Which we don't have time to get into in this video, but basically when we start to sort of act out, not clearly and overtly angry, like yelling at him, but little things that, are deniable, that's passive aggressiveness. And that is a sign that you could be falling into the trap of self-gaslighting and then acting out, because part of you knows, wait a minute, no, that's not right. If you notice that your self-esteem is diminishing, your self-confidence is diminishing, and you are finding yourself avoiding getting into it because you aren't confident enough in what you believe or what your memory tells you, then that's a good sign that you are starting to gaslight yourself. And so there's sort of a loop here, right? That when we gaslight ourselves, it undermines our confidence and our self-esteem. And that undermined confidence and self-esteem leads to more self-gaslighting. Follow up this video with this video over here, where we're going to go and do a deep dive on why people gaslight themselves. Hey, please subscribe to this channel. That helps other women in your kind of a situation get this help also, and because it helps the YouTube algorithm, connect people of similar interest. And fire a comment down below. Let me know do you know about another sign of self-gaslighting that other women should know. All right. So click on that video above. Find out, why do people gaslight their self?